Far up north, where ice rules the land and silence feels eternal, there's a city that looks like it was paused mid-sentence. A Soviet city with a school, a theatre, a heated swimming pool, and no one to use them. This place is called Pyramiden, and before destruction, there was life. Today, only the cold remains. Pyramiden is located in the Svalbard archipelago, a Norwegian territory in the Arctic, less than 1,000 kilometers from the North Pole. Its name comes from the pyramid-shaped mountain that towers over the landscape. And yes, it really does look like a stone pyramid. But why would anyone build a Soviet city in such a remote, frozen place? The answer: coal. In 1927, the Soviet Union bought Pyramiden from Sweden. Over the following decades, they turned it into a model community, a showcase of socialist life planted in the middle of the Arctic. The city grew. It had a school, hospital, library, theatre, sports hall, greenhouse, cafeteria, dormitories, all of this surrounded by glaciers and polar bears. More than 1,000 people lived here. Miners, teachers, doctors, families. Life was organised, productive, and frozen. Despite the extreme cold, life in Pyramiden was surprisingly active. Children went to school, adults worked in the mines, and everyone gathered in the theatre to watch Soviet films. With Russian subtitles, of course. Food was shipped in from Russia, and water was melted from glacial ice. The city even had a greenhouse where tomatoes and cucumbers grew, a tiny miracle of green in a sea of white. Residents received salaries, had access to culture and education, and lived under the ideals of Soviet collectivism. It was a functioning city, isolated but alive. Let's imagine waking up in Pyramiden, not today, but in the 1980s, when the city was alive. It's 7 a.m. Outside, the Arctic wind howls past the concrete buildings, but inside your dormitory, it's warm. The heating system hums quietly. You pull on your uniform, grab your gloves, and head to the cafeteria. Breakfast is simple: black bread, porridge, maybe a boiled egg. Everything was shipped in from the mainland. Nothing grows naturally here. You greet your neighbors in Russian. Everyone knows each other. It's a small community, and despite the isolation, there's a sense of order, a sense of purpose. If you're a miner, your day starts underground. You board a transport vehicle and descend into the coal tunnels carved beneath the ice. The work is hard, the air thick with dust, but the pay is decent, and the Soviet Union considers you a hero of labor. If you're a teacher, you walk to the school, a modest building with colorful posters and a globe that still shows the USSR in bold red. The children arrive bundled in layers, cheeks red from the cold. You teach math, literature, and history. You remind them that even here, in the Arctic, they are part of something bigger. At noon, the cafeteria serves lunch: soup, potatoes, maybe canned fish. You eat quickly, then head to the greenhouse. It's humid inside, a strange contrast to the frozen world outside. Tomatoes hang from vines. Cucumbers grow in neat rows. It's not much, but it's a symbol of resilience. In the afternoon, you might visit the library or attend a film screening at the theatre. Soviet classics, of course. The piano in the corner is sometimes played by one of the engineers. Surprisingly well. The sound echoes through the empty seats. Children play in the snow. Adults walk in pairs, discussing politics, poetry, or the latest shipment delay. The sun barely rises this time of year, casting a pale glow over the icy mountains. But life goes on. Dinner is served early. Afterward, you return to your room, write a letter to family back in Russia, or listen to music on a cassette player. Outside, the temperature drops below minus 20 degrees Celsius. But inside, the city breathes. This was a normal day in Pyramiden. No shopping malls, no traffic, no internet. Just work, community, and survival. In the 1990s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, keeping Pyramiden running became too expensive. Mining was no longer profitable, and logistics were a nightmare. The coal was still there, but the world had changed. In 1998, the city was officially abandoned. The last residents left by ship, leaving behind furniture, books, musical instruments, as if they were planning to return soon. But they never did. Today, Pyramiden is a time capsule. The buildings still stand. Beds are still made. The piano in the theatre is still in tune. It's as if time froze along with the city. Explorers and tourists say visiting feels like stepping into a Soviet film from the 1980s, only without actors. If you hear footsteps, it's probably just the wind. Probably. Pyramiden is now maintained by a small group of Norwegian caretakers and guides. They preserve the buildings, welcome visitors, and keep the memory of the city alive. The Soviet flag still flies. Signs remain in Russian, and the hallways stay empty. But what's most striking isn't what was left behind. It's what was lived. Pyramiden reminds us that even in the harshest places, humans build, dream, and live. Before destruction, there was life. And in Pyramiden, that life still echoes through the walls, the forgotten books, and the silent corridors. A Soviet city in the Arctic, frozen in time.